Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for The Walking Dead, and this time I forgot to look it up because I wasn't prepared, so just give me a second. This is going to be The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 7. Um, and this episode came out on December 4th, 2016, and it's called Sing Me a Song. I guess that title kind of fits. Um, this was a great episode. This was definitely a step up from the last episode, and I sort of take back what I said about everything I said in the last episode. How this show has really gone downhill in quality. Um, but I still kind of don't feel that way. This is the best um episode that I think this is the worst season they've done, but this is definitely the best, one of the best episodes they've done. I think Negan really showed how great of a character he was in this episode, and there were things I liked. They kept it focused mainly on one storyline, even though they had a ton of subplots within said storyline. They still it was still mainly one storyline. They did do some sort of subplot with Rick and Aaron, where basically they found a message that somebody had food and supplies, and then when they finally found the message, like found the final message, they found out that they kept the that when they if they had read up to the point where the guy wrote it, that and you're not only shot and dead, then I died. And then they when they go over to see what it is, it was there's a ton of zombies in a lake guarding the supplies. So I liked that scene. I liked those scenes they did with Rick and Aaron. I thought that was pretty good. Other stuff I liked in this episode. Now I'll kind of break it down because that was kind of a subplot. I like what they did with Rosita and Eugene. So Rosita was forcing Eugene to make a bullet. Spencer and Gabriel are asking him where he went, where they're going, and they're not really giving him any answers. And then Spencer now is trying to convince Rosita to um, just fall in line. Just uh, let things be the way they are. Like, this is our life now. We have to pretty much pay our taxes um, to the saviors. But Rosita isn't listening, and Eugene try later on when they go to the room where Eugene took Abraham in episode 14. Was it 14 or 15? I think it was 14. And episode season 6, episode 14. Um, we found out that we found out Eugene tried to talk about it by talking about how, yes, you have the one bullet, but they still have the numbers. What's going to happen if you still kill Negan, but they end up mauling you and murdering you? And Rosita goes apeshit on Eugene. She goes off on him, talking about how he's only alive because he makes himself look weak, and he's a liar. He lied about who he was, and the person that protected you, Abraham, um, kept you alive, and you need to do this for him. So Eugene makes her the bullet, and when they get back to Alexandria, um, Rosita tries to apologize, but Eugene ain't having it. Um, and then they did another subplot with Spencer and Gabriel, where Spencer's questioned Rick's leadership, and Gabriel thinks that Rick made him more of a leader. So um, that's never happened before. Um, so he tells him he's being a piece of shit and that Rick keeps everybody together. And Spencer says that pretty much my town was in a fine place before Rick and his group got there. But Gabriel says um, that everybody has their flaws, but Rick isn't perfect, but he's also kept a lot of people alive. And then Gabriel leaves. He leaves Spencer to fend for himself, which I thought was great. Um, and I actually like that it was Gabriel that was the one defending Rick, because even though that storyline's since passed, it's kind of cool that Gabriel's the one defending him, since Rick, since him and Rick never really saw eye to eye in the beginning, and then Rick kind of finally trusted Gabriel, so it was kind of cool that he was the one, and he was the one that was originally against Rick's group in season 5 when they first met. So I actually liked that I actually liked that season or that part of this episode. And then Spencer sees a walker that's hanging off like the a platform that's on the tree, and he gets a grappling hook and pulls the walker down, and he finds like a note that was written in Latin um, about what's actually out here, but it's about um, a place that had a ton of food, and he brings it back to Rosita and Eugene, and he yeah, pretty much I thought that was kind of interesting because now Spencer's going to say, "Hey, now look, I'm actually can be the leader." So I have a feeling that's going to be a whole fight. But I want to talk about the real thing that I enjoyed in this episode. Um, and that was the thing that was the storyline that took place in this episode between Carl and Negan. Um, oh, there was another subplot that they did is Michonne takes one of the saviors hostage and has has her Brenner to Negan, which is going to be kind of an interesting twist considering what happened at the end of the episode. Now that I remembered, I did really hate. I kind of hated that they kind of didn't really go into that storyline all that much. They opened up with it, and then nothing really happened. And I guess that's just going to be something that's going to be built to. Um, but let's talk about the main storyline that went down in this episode. So, um, Carl and Jesus finally make it to Negan's sanctuary. And Jesus is just going to jump out because he was there to help lure Sasha there so she could go kill Negan. But Carl acts like he doesn't know how to jump out, so he has Jesus go out there and do it first to show him. And Carl fakes him out and flips him off. And Carl takes a gun and shoots everybody. Kills two of Negan's men and tries to kill everyone. And then somebody attacks Carl. Dwight threatens to kill him with the crossbow, and Negan says, no, he could be of asset. Negan refuses and says that he likes his tenacity, and he offers to give Carl a tour. And Dale sees all of this, and he's basically a prisoner. He pretty much actually, I shouldn't say basically, he is a prisoner. He's just like a prisoner that you would see now, where he has the A on his chest, he's wearing a prison outfit, and he's got to do fucking prison work. He is a prisoner. And he gives Carl a tour. He shows Carl around to where everybody sits down and bows down to him, and praises Negan. He takes Carl to all of his wives' room. He has like 600 wives, and he sees I forget her name off the top of my head because I'm just great at remembering names, so I'm gonna forget. Sherry, that's the name. And Sherry was seen talking to somebody, so Negan pulls her aside and says, "What's going on here?" And Sherry says, "You don't need to know what's going on." And they reveal that Amber's been cheating on him, so Negan says that he's got to break the rules. He's not mad at her, and then him and Sherry kiss, and Dale comes in with food, and I just felt so bad for Dale that he's just being treated this way. Um, and then Negan takes Carl by himself, and he reveals he just wanted to bond with Carl. Um, that he actually likes Carl's tenacity, how he's not that typical kid that worries about missing proms. He's somebody that um, will fight for what he believes in. So he wants to bond with Carl, and he just fucked up Carl's brain, I think, because he forces Carl to take off his eye not eye patch, but the tape he had, and reveal like his eye that's been stabbed, and he makes fun of him for it and gives him shit. But this upsets Carl because he's doing this to fuck with Carl psychologically, and um somebody comes in and gives um Negan Lucille back, and then Negan makes fun of Carl, talking about how Rick never gives him shit. He never really learned how to, so he never really learned how to take shit, and he forces Carl to send him a song, and this is where the title of the episode fits. So he sends "You Are My Sunshine," which I guess was supposed to be symbolic for something, but I guess it worked. And Negan like is swinging his bat around, and this is makes Carl afraid, and Carl and then Negan says, "Oh, I think it's ready." And then Carl's like, "What?" And then he says, "The iron." And then Negan takes the guy Moke, who's been cheated on his one of the 3 billion wives, and he takes an iron and um, presses it against his face and melts his face. And Dale he forces Dale to clean up his piss, and I thought that was funny. And Carl asks Negan like why he hasn't killed him yet, and Negan says that he still wants to spend time with Carl, and that he doesn't feel like it's necessary to kill him. So then Negan asks Carl what he thinks he should do to him, and Carl says that he should jump out the window before he kills him himself. And then Negan talks about how he is slowly breaking Dale to become his soldier. He's ripped off Rick's nuts, and there's gonna he's just the fun's just getting started. And then he takes Carl home, and Dale threatens to murder him, and um Dwight and Negan forces Dwight to take Dale back to his cell. To which I think what's gonna and then what happens is I'm assuming we see somebody throw a note, which I think we're supposed to assume that it was Sherry, uh, under there that says "Go now," which means escape. So I think they're gonna do something big by having Dale escape in the next episode, since that's the mid-season finale. But I think that would make sense because they got to do something big. And Negan takes Carl back to Alexandria, and he acts like a total asshole to Olivia because he's asking where Rick is, and she tells him that Rick isn't around because he's out getting supplies for you, and while we're here starving to death, and then he says to Olivia, "How could you possibly starve to death?" And this makes Olivia sad because she knows this was a fat joke, and Negan's then like, "Wow, you guys really don't take criticism very well, do you?" Well, that's not exactly what he says, but that's pretty basically what he was implying. And he apologizes, but kind of does it in that small me asshole type of way. And he wants to have sex with Olivia. She slaps him in the face, or bitch slaps him, and Negan said that this just turned me on even more. And then Negan has Carl give him a tour of his house, and then he sees Judith, and he's being all nice to Judith, and then he's like, "I think I maybe keep myself comfortable here for a long time." And then the episode goes off the air. And then we find out that Rosita, Spencer, and Gabriel found everybody, and Eugene found everybody and that the saviors are in the town. And yeah, I love this episode. I thought it was great. 8 out of 10. I think it did a really good job building to the mid-season finale, and I love the way that Negan was utilized in this episode. And he came off like an absolute asshole. He came off like a great villain. The stuff he was making Carl do, the stuff he did. He fucking pressed an iron over somebody's face just because somebody cheated. I mean, I guess that's a likely response, but he's the one that's cheating on everybody too. So it's like awesome. And he's got to be the best villain I think The Walking Dead has had. I know a lot of people I've read online haven't really enjoyed his character, at least from this season, because he's been bland. But I think he's been great. I think he's just very good at getting under your skin, and I love it. I think he's been a great villain. And that's my thoughts on this episode. I'm gonna try to do one more of these because I want to do the mid-season finale, and that's an hour. So I'm gonna be right back, and I'll talk to you guys then.